Coming up on the Greg and Tim Show podcast.
The Pothole Committee.
Which is the Public Works Committee. I'd like to sit down with George W. Bush.
That's why I changed.
Yeah, because it's harder. So you have commercials? Just go to a commercial. We'll be right back.
Eddie Lee!
And it was involuntary. I just blurted it out. But, sorry. If Geddy Lee's mother is a regular watcher of the podcast, my apologies to you. I should have apologized then. And I think at the end of the day, for me, a person's faith establishes their values. Like there's been fight. More than once or twice I had welts, after recess because someone binged you in the head with a snowball. It is sealed. Do you know how much I paid to seal that? No, I didn't.
Even I know that.
One-term mayor. Why? Because he line danced.
Get your earballs ready. Welcome to the Greg and Tim Show podcast. Take time to sit back and relax and enjoy the show. Here are your hosts, Greg and Tim.
That'll be good. I was talking to Liam, who runs. I'll do the food, but not the line dancing.
You have to go there and do the line dancing. You can't go and not do that. Even I know that.
One-term mayor. Why? Because he line danced.
He says this, but then there's a video floating around from about a month ago of him in a Congo line.
But
that was accidental. I was pulled into it.
How easily is this visible, like this video attainable?
It is sealed. Do you know how much I paid to seal that? No, I didn't.
That's where we're not getting our potholes fixed because we're selling videos.
People love that when they see those kind of
Yeah.
Oh,
if you're doing the line dancing, I think you'd be four-term mayor.
Clay Young.
Yep.
Right. So Clay Young, we were sitting at the table with him and his wife at this dinner. Anyways, after the fact, I'm talking to my wife and I are talking to someone. I'm holding a binder, and all of a sudden I feel these two, hands grab me on the shoulders and put me into this conga line. It was Clay Young's wife, Wendy, and I handed my binder off to my wife and left her talking to someone she didn't know. And the guy said, like, "Does he do this often?" And my wife's like, "Never." So it was a funny moment.
Where are you going? That's awesome.
Yeah.
And we are showing the video now. We got unsealed.
And you look way better line dancing than I would. So
there we go.
Yeah.
That's on the record.
Tim's not a dancer. He's a singer, though. So
yeah.
he'll get up here and sing every now and again.
Some people would disagree. Yeah. C-team. But anyway.
C-team. Yeah, that's right. Well, welcome back to the Greg and Tim Show. Thank you for joining us. We have a special guest today. Our special guest is the Mayor of Winnipeg,
Mr. Scott Gillingham.
Mr. Scott Gillingham. And we're excited to talk to him. We're going to talk to him about a little bit of different things than you might have heard before. We're going to do it the Greg and Tim style. And you want to get right into it, Tim?
Let's get right into it. And you said you wanted to ask the first question, so I'm going to ask it for you. No, just kidding. Go ahead.
First question is, how disappointed were you that Taylor Swift didn't pick Winnipeg as one of her Canadian cities?
Oh, Taylor Swift in Winnipeg would have been phenomenal.
Right?
Now, my son just got married, and his fiance has seen Taylor Swift 3 times now. She saw her in 3 different locations. She says just an amazing show. Yeah. And I can only imagine a Taylor Swift show would be, phenomenal. Yeah. I saw Springsteen when he was here, but I'm a Springsteen guy and have been since the 80s. Yeah. But Taylor Swift would be pretty remarkable in any city.
Just imagine, we're the center of Canada. How many places could have flown directly to us?
I'm all for it. I think it would make sense to have Taylor Swift in Winnipeg.
Yeah, outdoors, big stadium.
So you did the classic politician thing where you did everything but answer the question directly. So I'm going to call you on that.
Yeah.
You didn't actually say how disappointed were you that Taylor Swift did not pick Winnipeg as one of the systems.
Scale 1 to 10.
How disappointed? I was disappointed. A scale of 1 to 10, like 7 in my disappointment level.
Okay.
Yeah. Because I'll be honest, I like Taylor Swift. I don't. If I had the choice between Taylor Swift and some other artists,
Bruce Springsteen would be better.
Springsteen, just for me. Now, most people would kind of, choose Taylor Swift because she's no doubt phenomenal. Yeah. But I'm a Springsteen fan.
Top 3 artists of all time.
Oh boy.
Well, let's say your favorite.
Yeah.
To say
your favorite. Your top 3.
In your top 3.
In my top 3. Okay, so I'm putting Springsteen back in there. U2.
Yeah.
U2 Coldplay.
Nice. Those are all really good live shows. When U2 was here, did you see U2 when they were here?
Yeah.
U2, I was actually telling somebody the other day, U2 was my first ever concert.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's not a bad that's setting the bar pretty high.
I know, right? The Pop Mart tour in Winnipeg in 1997.
I was at that one, at the old stadium?
At the old stadium,
yes,
with the lemon, with the giant lemon.
I was there.
Yeah. You were there too? Oh, wow.
That'd be the only time U2's been here.
I
right?
think so.
No. They came again to the new stadium. They played the old stadium again. They played the old stadium again in 2011, I believe, or last year.
That was the only one I had seen, though.
That's me
just
too.
one time.
Yeah.
Okay.
I didn't realize we were here in '97, but yeah.
Yeah.
The year of the flood.
The year of the flood, and they actually sang "Stand By Me" in like solidarity, and everybody in the stadium sang "Stand By Me" for the flood victims and everybody that was working on the floods and everything like that.
Did
It was
they
like,
flick a lighter like a Bic?
oh yeah, I'm sure.
Because
Like,
now it's not the same at concerts. It's everyone like turn the light on your phone. That's not the same as flicking a Bic, right? But
that's
anyways,
right.
It's a fire hazard.
It's
You
fire
should
hazard.
know that.
You can't flick a Bic.
You're not
anymore.
even allowed to smoke inside these buildings anymore. So.
I smoked in the basement yesterday, but that was yesterday.
In my basement.
Oh, sorry. I should have said anything. So we're gonna start the interview with a bit of a fun game, a little bit of an icebreaker. Are you up for it?
Sure.
Okay, we're gonna do something called American bylaw, Canadian bylaw, or
Oh my
fake
goodness.
bylaw. We're gonna give you a bylaw, and you're gonna say if it's American, Canadian, or fake. And one of them actually is both American and Canadian. Are you ready?
I don't think I'm going to do well, but you go ahead.
Okay.
Some of these are Winnipeg bylaws,
Are they?
or fake Winnipeg
Okay.
bylaws. You want me to go first?
Go ahead.
It's illegal to put coins in your ear.
Somewhere in the world.
Somewhere in the world. Yeah, I would say that that's probably a bylaw somewhere in the world because probably too many people ended up at hospitals. They said, we got to make a law about this.
So American or Canadian?
Oh, it's got to be American.
American
You're
is
right.
correct. Ding, ding, ding.
Ding,
Hawaii,
ding. First
Hawaii
one right.
specifically.
Okay.
Number 2, you must have a limit of only one toque or winter hat per head.
That can't be real.
No, 2 for 2.
2 for 2. Wow. That's actually pretty good. I thought that one would trick you up here.
All right, go ahead.
It is illegal to throw snowballs without permission.
Well, probably somewhere it's illegal to throw snowballs without permission. That's probably a thing. Yeah.
Or is it in Manitoba, Canada, or United States?
I think some schools right now to kind of crush them. I think some schools it's kind of like when we grew up at school. You know, you're chucking snowballs. All some of the funnest times were throwing snowballs.
Did you chuck the snowball or did you get it
Absolutely.
chucked at
and
you?
both? Yeah, absolutely. Like
It's a
there's
snowball
been
fight.
more than once or twice I had welts, you know,
Yeah.
after recess because someone binged you in the head with a snowball. But I think right now, like the rule in schools is snow stays on the ground, which is I understand why. No fun, but I understand why. So my answer is yes. It's probably a rule somewhere, probably
And
here.
Ding, bing, bing.
He's
100%
This is why he's the mayor. He knows all these answers
Yep.
already.
Apparently, I'll
this
never
is-
be a school superintendent now. But anyways,
But if this was a bylaw in Winnipeg, would you remove that bylaw?
so there's a bylaw in Mississauga. This is not. I'm not answering political by not answering the question. But there's I just found out this week. There's a bylaw in Mississauga that doesn't allow people to play street hockey.
I was not surprised at all.
That's unreal, though.
I don't. I think that's very un-Canadian.
Yes, 100%. So would you remove the bylaw if it was a bylaw in Winnipeg?
Probably I would look at it. Yeah, I mean it's not. There's many important things to do, so it wouldn't be at the top of my list or a hill
Yeah.
to die on. But
Maybe throw a Luke on it.
maybe get Luke, my deputy chief of staff, to tackle that one.
So it is a bylaw actually in Winnipeg from our research, and we heard it first. The mayor has vowed to eliminate this before his next term.
Luke has.
Luke is
actually.
on it. Like I said, there are some things at the top of my priority list. There are other things that are not at the top of my priority list.
That's why it took us 5 months to get him here.
All right, next one. It is illegal to let your cat meow or howl outdoors. Canadian, American, or not a bylaw at all.
That sounds like it could be a bylaw, but I'm going to say it's not.
You got your first one incorrect. In
Oh.
Edmonton, Alberta, Canada,
It's
that
illegal.
is an actual bylaw.
I know all cats are supposed to be on leashes. They're not supposed to roam free. I
Yep.
mean, that's in the city of Winnipeg as well. I didn't know that Edmonton had one about the sounds that they make.
Yeah, that's funny.
Okay.
So you're not allowed to complain about construction on Sundays.
I don't know how anyone would ever enforce that, but that can't be right.
That's a fake one.
You are correct.
Okay,
You've only
yeah.
gotten one wrong so far. You're doing very well.
This is very good. I'm
yeah.
surprised.
No, I'm not surprised. He's a smart fella. It is illegal for taxi drivers to wear T-shirts. Canadian, American, or not a law at all. We just made it up.
That sounds like it shouldn't be a law, but quite possibly could be a law. Maybe there's a city somewhere where taxi drivers have to wear uniforms and they can't be T-shirts. So I'm going to say yes, it's a law somewhere.
And American or Canadian, take a stab at it.
American.
Okay, that is correct. You are correct. It is a bylaw, but it is in Halifax, Nova
Really?
Scotia.
Okay.
Canada button shirts, they can't wear a T-shirt.
Really? And I was in Halifax this summer. We did take a taxi, but I didn't. Had I known that, I would have.
You would have ratted him out.
I would have watched for the guy in the T-shirt.
Yeah,
We got a-
taxi driver
We
here.
got a guy in a T-shirt. Pull him off the road.
He's wearing a T-shirt.
Okay, we're gonna do 2 more here.
'Kay.
It's illegal to own pigeons unless you're a licensed breeder and have permission.
I believe that.
Okay. You are
That
correct.
could be. Where would that be? Could be U.S. or Canada. But I'll go U.S.
It is Winnipeg, Manitoba.
or Canada. I said that one I didn't know. So
But
I'm
it's
not
obscure,
up,
right?
I'm not up on my pigeon bylaws.
No, and it's really tough to find all the bylaws because it's so like there's so many probably
So
in
many.
there, right? And for you to dive into them, it would be next to impossible.
And there's some you just don't come across every
Unless somebody
day,
complains.
obviously, or
And
you
we
know,
were
in a
2 more. I'm
term.
not sure where his counting is at. It is illegal to push a live moose out of an airplane.
Certainly, if it's not illegal, it's not advisable. I would say. I would say that is a fake. That is not a real bylaw.
Incorrect. In Alaska, USA, that is an actual bylaw.
Okay. In
So
Alaska,
apparently they
I
had
guess
a
in
moose
Alaska,
flipping
you know,
problem.
it's
We need to put this to a stop. Dang it!
and who enforces these things? That's what I want. Who's watching for this?
Well, the bylaw officers.
The
of
bylaw
course.
officers. That's right. We're just
Yeah,
watching for
the
moose.
moose bylaw officer.
Yeah, where did that moose come from? I bet you someone pushed it out of that airplane.
Where the heck should this moose come out of? Oh, I see now.
Okay, we're only gonna do 2 more then, Tim. Okay, let's.
These are
Uh,
How many do you have?
We
Like
have
an
so
hour's
many.
worth there. Okay.
Dogs are required to be supervised if placed outside.
Yeah, I can believe that. I don't know. What is? I guess it depends what supervised means. I mean, that could
Like just
be
placed
anywhere.
outside. Well, it says placed outside temporarily. This means a resident is responsive to a dog at any attendance by enforcement officers. So it means that if the dog is placed outside, there has to be a resident outside with it. So if
Okay,
it's
that
in your
makes sense. That
backyard-
could even be Winnipeg. That could be.
Yeah,
that
You,
could-
you actually
yeah.
said it is correct in Winnipeg.
Yeah.
I want to pick number 6 because it's my favorite. It is illegal to catch a fish with your mouth.
Again, I hope this is fake, or there is a place where this has been a problem that had to be enforced. I'm going to say fake.
Okay, if you go to Pennsylvania, do not go into a live stream with your mouth open because you could get caught by a bylaw officer.
in
Again,
Pennsylvania.
bylaws are put in place because there's a problem with an issue. So I guess there's a place in Pennsylvania where this was a problem.
So what is the process of, so let's say there's an issue out there right now, right? And there's, people that are doing a certain random dumb act all the time. How do they, like, these bylaws are probably fairly old, but how would they go about getting a bylaw put in place these days?
Well, a lot of times, like a bylaw is to deal with something, as you said, that becomes an issue. A couple ways. The typical way that it's done is one of the city councilors or I will bring the issue forward and say we want some rules around it. And so quite often, the next step will be to ask our city staff through a formal process, through probably a motion at council, ask our city staff to go look at it, go investigate it, look at other jurisdictions, see if there's a bylaw related to this issue in other jurisdictions. What have the other jurisdictions done? And bring something forward, a report back. And if there's no other place where it's done, then at least go study it, bring it back. It comes back to council in the form of a report. And then council ultimately votes on whether or not to make it a bylaw. And obviously, because it's a bylaw, the legal team at the City of Winnipeg has to be involved too in crafting something that can be upheld as a bylaw.
Yeah.
My understanding or my expectation is all these strange, silly laws have just been forgotten about for years and decades and decades and decades. But
There's some like about horses and
yeah,
stuff.
there was one that was.
If you go into
really
Chat
funny.
GPT and just type in show me the top 10 silliest bylaws in Winnipeg, it'll actually scrape the City of Winnipeg website and give you what Chat GPT thinks are silly bylaws.
And someone has told me about this before, not necessarily the chat GPT, but they've told me before about these antiquated bylaws that, I mean, this year the city's celebrating our 150th anniversary.
Yep.
So there's probably quite a few bylaws that are from decades ago, maybe 100 plus years ago, not relevant today, but still in the books.
Yeah.
And I was going to go on to the next question, but because you said that, so we are celebrating our 150th anniversary of Winnipeg, which is awesome. And previous to the taping of this interview, you're playing a hockey game against the province Wapcanoe. How good a hockey player are you? What do you expect? You're going to barely keep up? Are you going to be going circles around everyone? Where are your skills set at?
Well, I played a lot of hockey, but that was decades ago, right? I haven't played as much hockey in the last 15 to 20 years. But it's going to be a fun, like at the time of our, as we're sitting down together, the game hasn't happened, but the plan is it's a fun game for the city's 100th anniversary. The city staff and city councilors played a hockey game against the premier's team and people from the province of Manitoba. So it's a city versus province game for Winnipeg's 100th. Yep. 50 years later, we figured it was time to have that game again and celebrate the city's 150th through, renewing that game and that little rivalry. And so the whole thing is about having fun. We've invited the public to come out and bring a tin for the bin. It's played at Gateway Arena. It'll be a good time.
Awesome. So if something did happen, we'll put in the news clip right now of all the fights and stuff that happened.
I heard you're challenging Wob to a fight on the ice for more funds for the city. That's what I heard. I don't know, somewhere out there
promoting it. Is that what you're saying?
If we can get more funds from the city of Winnipeg, I'm happy to lose the game 10-1.
So I thought you were going to say you lose the fight.
That's your camera right there. If you want to call out Wapcanoe, you can call him out right now.
Wapcanoe. Anyway, I digress. So with another question here, without saying what you do for a living, tell us, who is Scott Gillingham?
I would say that I'm a fairly typical Manitoban. I love this province. I love the city. I'm a guy who grew up in rural Manitoba on a farm, but have lived in the city most of my adult life. And think that all of us have the opportunity in one way or another to serve our community to make it better. And so I have my adult life look for ways to serve the community and serve others, to try to do my part to improve my community.
That's awesome. It brings me to a story that I actually just heard today from somebody who knows you, who works with me. She's got a little story, and I want to kind of tell it for you. She was working with Take Pride Winnipeg, and she was at a place in St. James that they were starting to work to clean up and everything like that. And you say that you want to serve Winnipeg and all this. She said that she was there by herself, and most of the people hadn't shown up yet, and she was just there cleaning up. And out you come, out your car. This is when you were a city councilor, I believe, still. And you just dig right in and start joining her, just start cleaning up, no questions asked, all that kind of stuff. What drives you to do something like that?
I think I've been really fortunate, really blessed to grow up in the family I've grown up in. My parents are still alive. I'm thankful for that. And they've always modeled that. My parents have always, even all growing up, they both worked no less than 2 jobs. They always both had 2 jobs. We had a farm, and then they each had, which is a full-time job, but then they each had their own full-time careers as well. But on top of that, they always were volunteering, always giving back, always doing what they could, either through our church or something else in the community, to try to improve the lives of others around. And so I'm thankful. I've always had that model, not just for my parents. I mean, I've got aunts and uncles that model the same thing. You just roll up your sleeves and serve, give back, Yeah. And so I think I kind of grew up in that atmosphere, and I would say that that's probably part of the reason that I really enjoy, working with others and serving others and participating with others and trying to, come together with people to tackle a big project or a little project. And my parents always just said, if there's work to be done, just away we go, get in and do it.
Farm life is so different. I have a buddy that still operates a farm in southern Manitoba, and they work really, really hard, but they take a lot of coffee breaks, a lot of coffee breaks, and they like their 1 o'clock nap. But anyway,
Just like you.
it's 4 o'clock usually. Tell us something we don't know about you, some special skill, something that the public may not know.
That you've never told anybody. This is a secret.
Confession time.
We love secrets.
Never told anybody. I don't know. Probably most. I mean, not that it matters, but I've got a really broad, fairly diverse, somewhat eclectic, even music style. I don't listen to a ton of music, but I can listen like to anything, like pretty much anything. But when I need to wind down, or just need, it's been a long day and I just need to relax, it's jazz. I'll put on jazz, or classical. I just really enjoy that. Throughout the day, it's a lot of talk radio. If I'm driving the vehicle, it's a lot of talk radio, obviously, because they're carrying the news and you're just staying on top of what's happening in our community.
Yeah.
Or one of the music channels. But if I need to just chill, relax, kind of renew myself, it's jazz or classical.
That was actually one of our questions. How do you take the edge off? And jazz, classical, it's awesome. I love both of them.
You have your own library of jazz and classical?
No, it's just a playlist either on like a Spotify or Apple Music or something like that. Just evening jazz playlist or something, or the classics like Miles Davis, Ella Fitzgerald.
You're not
something
doing the
like
whole
that.
vinyl thing. You're not putting
No,
down records.
I have this whole vision of you in this robe that's silk, and you have a glass of wine. You're listening to Miles Davis play the trumpet. I don't know why.
In a room that's full with leather-bound books and rich mahogany.
You have the wrong vision. You have the wrong vision. I'm just, but stay with it if you want it. So, another thing I really like is libraries. Like old, if you see pictures online of these glorious old libraries, the floor to ceiling books, and those are kind of those are good spaces. I enjoy books, so I enjoy reading. I enjoy playing a game of golf too. But if I really need to just kind of decompress and shut it all off, some jazz music and a book, and I'm good.
So you talk about like stressful situations, and when you're a public figure, obviously you have some pushback. Some people say mean things online, or even the opposition sometimes. How do you find that those personal, let's say, attacks, or do they just kind of go off you, or do you take them personally? How do you kind of deal with and react with that?
For the most part, you just ignore it. You let it roll off you, because you know that if it's personal, that's one thing. What politics should be is let's fight about the issue. Let's debate the issue. We'll put the issue. You and I don't agree, but let's put the issue in the middle of the table that we're talking about, and then let's debate it and wrestle it, and not make it personal. When it becomes personal, which right now politics is so polarized, it's become so personal. That's problematic. I'm really going on a bit of a track here, but it's disappointing to see where politics has gone and such the polarization, and it becoming so personable, about a way a person looks, or it's
beliefs, or
beliefs or whatever. It's kind of descended to this level that it shouldn't be. Politics should be about the idea of how to make a better community. Let's debate the ideas, whether your idea is better or my idea is better. We should get somewhere in the middle. So the attacks, if it's about policy, this is part of it. Comes with the territory. If you're going to put your name on a ballot, you got to be ready to be criticized. That's what it is. That's part of what makes democracy the way it is. So it doesn't bother me. I ignore it, and I remind myself on a regular basis, this is not my identity. I'm the mayor of Winnipeg, but that's a role I'm playing. I'm honored to play it. But it wasn't my identity coming in to this job. No one stays mayor forever. It will be my identity leaving it. My identity is founded in something other than any role.
Do you leave your personal opinions at the door and say, you know what, this is how I'm the mayor of a city, and I'm here to serve the city, and my personal opinions are this, but I'm not going to let that affect how I do my job? Do you kind of separate church and state in that way, if you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, to a degree. I shouldn't say yes. I mean, yes to a degree, but the thing is, people of any, and everyone has a belief system of some manner or another. Everybody does. Even someone who says, I have no formal faith system, that's their belief. So, and I think at the end of the day, for me, a person's faith establishes their values. I think everyone in political life should be driven by their values. Their values should inform their public policy. Their values should inform what matters to them. So I would never expect someone to divorce their values from their work as a politician. They shouldn't be, or that's incongruent, right?
Yeah.
So to that degree, my faith, my belief informs my values. My values inform the way I do my job. Not perfectly by any stretch of the imagination, but at the end of the day, that's kind of what shapes the priorities, the political priorities that I and others have.
So we come from a faith background, and we hear, like, a lot of our friends will say, "I'd love to get into politics," but some of the politics of 2024 go against my personal belief as, let's say, a Christian, and I assume some your beliefs as well. So how would you respond to someone that says, "I could never get into politics because I'd have to divorce my belief on certain things from what the popular public kind of accepts today"?
Yeah, for sure. It's a challenge. It is at times. I think, for me as a Christian, understanding the role of church and the role of state are two different things. Your values should inform I think your values should inform the way you as a politician, the way you operate and what matters to you.
Yep.
And as a Christian, I may come down on one side of something, an issue, and another Christian would come down on the other side of it. Does that mean one's right or wrong? Well, maybe not. We just have different views of the way we interpret things. But I think at the end of the day, it's important to understand that, for those that are Christians, Scripture's clear that the church and state have complementary but different roles.
Yeah. Yeah, and you have to bring your values into what you do, because of the fact that if you don't, you're going to fall. Right? Like you can fall for, they say if you don't stand for anything, you're going to fall for everything. Right? So you bring your values into it, and, there's different religions and different belief systems that are in there. But as long as they're all rooted in goodness and rooted in kindness and that type of thing, at least that's where you got to start, right? And you got to work your way up from there.
Well, and you take a look at all the major faiths of the world, all of them, and even ones that are secondary have the same basic principles, right? It's justice, it's mercy, it's treating others with kindness and love, and find a right and a wrong, and stand on the right, and oppose the wrong. Like, so that's there's so much similarity. So when you look at the population of Winnipeg, about just under 850,000 people, you look out and say, maybe my formal faith is different from someone, my neighbor down the road, but at the core, we're believing the same things. We want the same things for one another. We want the same things for our families. We want the same things for the sake of our community. Let's rally around those that are the common denominators and build that kind of community.
Yeah, and when everybody can work together, you're going to get more things done, right?
Yeah.
Do you think finding a common goal with everybody is kind of a really good skill to have in your position?
It's essential. One of the things I enjoy about municipal politics, as opposed to provincial or federal politics, which is party politics, is in municipal politics, I have to, by nature of the way it's structured, we have to work with everybody. There's not a party system, so it's us, us four against those five, or whatever, or our party against someone else's party. And so you're making kind of alliances with different councillors at different time based on your view of a certain issue. So sometimes, in Winnipeg, there's the mayor and 15 councillors. So you need 9 votes to pass anything. So I got to go, if I have an idea, I got to go find 8 other votes. And, 8 other councillors at least who will vote with me to get that idea through. Well, in this issue, I may have these 8 councillors. On the next issue, it may be those 8 councillors. And at times it may be, 9 or 10 of them and viewing something different than me, and I lose the vote. So your alliances basically can change depending on the issue. And that's both really challenging, but really, really rewarding.
So there used to be a policy committee, right? There used to be like a special committee. Is that still around?
There still is. So in our structure at the City of Winnipeg, we have what's called it's all committee based. So councillors get onto committees. Usually committees of 4. There's a committee for public works and finance and water waste. But then there's also an executive policy committee. That's a committee, the leaders of whom are chosen by the mayor. And so the chairperson of the community services committee, the finance committee, the public works committee, the water waste committee,
The pothole committee.
which is the public works committee. So those committee members, those committee chairs, there's 5 of them,
Yeah.
are my executive policy committee
Okay.
as well.
So these are the most trusted people that you have amongst the. I'm not going to say most trusted, but the most like you can gain the most experience from. these people?
I certainly have trust in these individuals, obviously, but it's extra work. So they're overseeing that committee and the departments under their
They have to be dedicated.
portfolio. So it takes a lot of work, and from time to time, I'll shift that around as far as who's on the executive policy committee and who chairs those committees. But certainly there are individuals that we try to work closely together. I don't ask them on everything to vote exactly the way I vote. So from time to time, we disagree on items, and that's what democracy is and should be. But for the most part, they do the work of chairing those committees and overseeing those departments.
So
Okay.
you went from being a pastor to a politician. What made you wake up one morning and say, "Hey, I'd like to get into the fine world of politics"?
Well, it was not waking up one morning and flick of the switch. It ultimately came back, I think. It goes back to this idea of serving and finding ways to serve. The long story short is that I was pastoring. Our kids were little. Signed them up to play t-ball. And when we signed them up, they said, "That's great, but we don't have a coach. Can you coach the kids?" And this was at the community center. I said, "Sure, coach the kids." Before you know it, they called me and said, "Could you serve on the community center board?" Okay, served on the board, and we started to build a new community center. And while we were doing that, I sat across the table on a regular basis from the then city councilor, Scott Fielding, city councilor for St. James. We got to know one another and struck up a bit of a friendship. He came to me one day and he said, "Can we go for coffee?" And when he took me for coffee, he said, "I'm not going to run for city council again." This is about 2013, and the election was in 2014.
Okay.
"You should really consider it." So, okay, I'll consider that. And things were going well at the church. Pastoring was going well. Then the phone rang, and there was someone else who called me. He's in the room today, Luke Lewandowski, who's now my deputy chief of staff. And he said, "You know what? You should consider running for city council." So, ran for city council, won in 2014 to represent St. James.
Yep.
Re-elected in 2018 to serve St. James. But during that time, some people had encouraged me, well, Mayor Bowman if he doesn't run again, you should really consider running for mayor. And again, one of the people was Luke Lewandowski, who's in the room today. So he chaired my campaign for mayor, and here we are, just absolutely honored to serve as the mayor of Winnipeg. Only the 44th person who, in this history, 150 years history, has had the privilege to do this.
That's kind of crazy, eh? That
Mhm.
there's like only been 44
Yeah.
in that amount of time. And if you think back, like you can almost name all 44 if you start studying them pretty quickly, right?
If you memorize them, you can.
If
you memorize them.
But the fact that it's only 44, like that's
But I'm glad that wasn't one of your questions today, because I could not have named all 44.
mayor of Winnipeg.
Two.
But
What was your biggest transition? Was it from pastor to counselor or counselor to mayor? What was your biggest jump?
Yeah, pastor to counselor.
Okay.
Because you come from, no matter where you come to council from, if you get elected, and you're not working at City Hall, but if you get elected to be a city councilor from business, from nonprofit, from being a pastor, from any other line of work, it's a cultural shock. It really is. It's a big change in. It's like nothing you've experienced before, because you for me, I came from being a pastor with experiences, but in that role and other roles, I'd worked construction for years, but then you come in to city council, and city councilors are dealing with all at once, water and waste engineers, police, fire, public works, land zoning, permits. I mean, just it goes on and on and on. The complexities of all things it takes to run a city, and councilors and mayors are asked to vote on that, set policy on that, give direction to that, understand it, change it. And so it is a world on its own completely. And so it is absolutely a cross-cultural experience.
so is being a counselor a full-time job?
In Winnipeg, yes, it is.
It is, yeah.
In
I know
other
towns it wouldn't be.
In other towns, it's not. But our city councilors, we have 15 wards. Each one of them has about 50 to 52,000 people in them.
Okay.
So, the city of Brandon, I think, is about 60,000 or so. So when you think of it, every one of our 15 city councilors is a counselor for basically an area almost the size of Brandon. So it is a full-time job, and it's a lot of work.
So do the counselors drop their previous jobs, or do you see some that are trying to get both done and balance them?
In the past, I've seen some people that have kind of done both. It depends what your job is. It can't be something that would have you in conflict, obviously, in your role as a counselor.
Yep.
But right now, I don't think there's anyone who's doing, to my knowledge, that has another job. I think if you're doing your job as counselor or mayor well, it's full time. You're putting more than, and some of my colleagues I know who are city councilors are putting way more than full-time hours in.
Is it a bigger job to be mayor? Like as far as hours?
Yes. Much, yes.
What's office? The office space is bigger.
The office space is bigger, but it's a big meeting space. I've got a great big board table in my office, but there's people around it all the time.
Is it the same desk for every mayor? Like, has it always, like, I know, like, I think the president has a choice of a certain desk, depending on, like, you can get Lincoln's desk or you can get JFK's desk, that type of thing. Does the mayor have just one desk, or is there a choice of desks?
I think I could have. I don't think there's a choice of desks in the same way that there's these historic desks that you see in the U.S. presidents. But I mean, I could get new furniture if I wanted to. But I had the same desk that Mayor Bowman, my predecessor, had. I just changed the office around, different layout of the office.
Okay.
Get the cognac and the jazz records
and
on the shelf.
And the big red jacket, right? Yes, that's right.
Big red smoking coat.
That's right.
The pipe.
Oh, they go to the smoking room for that.
Oh, they built that at the city.
There was always one. We just
don't
talk about it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Luke, is that true? Luke's shaking his head yes.
He can't say it's a secret. What has been the most surprising or challenging thing since you became mayor?
I think some of the challenging things are they're the big kind of heavy things that come your way that you can just they're coming, but you can't predict them. Like the horrific incident of the women Indigenous women whose lives were killed, whose lives were taken, they were murdered, and their bodies are believed to be in landfills. I mean, you as mayor or anyone in any leadership position knows that you can have your day and your schedule and your plans and your vision, your goals to pursue, and they're all positive, or you're tackling tough stuff. But then there's the things that come in right out of left field. They're going to come. You can't predict what they are or when they're coming. They're going to be heavy. Those, you ask what are the difficult things, those are the really, really heavy things, because it's real people whose real lives are affected. It's families who are hurting. It's crime. It's the horrific thing. That's the heavy stuff. That's really, really difficult.
Is that just playing politics? Sorry to get a little bit deeper into it. But is that like we saw when Wab Kinew was seeking re-election, and he was re-elected, obviously, but that was a big source. He was going to dig up the landfills, right? Is that something that people just say as something to shout for votes, or is that something feasibly that the city can, or the province, sorry, I don't know who does it, can actually do?
Yeah, so that can be done, and that's in this case it was the province, because the landfill in question is outside of the city of Winnipeg. It's not in the city of Winnipeg. But no, as a politician, something like of that magnitude, you're risking a lot just to make a flippant comment and say I'm going to do this, but I don't really mean it. No, I really, really believe that the politicians I know and respect the most are the ones that really want to say or really want to do what they said they're going to do. And so when you put something out there and when you're running your campaign saying I'm going to do this, I think the politicians that are worth their salt have every intention to do all they can to deliver on that.
Yeah.
So let's talk about something lighter. Crime.
Crime.
Yes.
I was going to actually ask a question here, Tim. Can I ask a question? It's similar to what you were probably going to ask. You were recently in Houston, right?
Yes.
You were visiting Houston and you're studying their homelessness model and the elements that they have in their approach. What kinds of things have you brought back to Winnipeg, or kinds of things that you thought you could bring back to Winnipeg to tackle our situation in Winnipeg? Because it's kind of gotten a little bit, it hasn't gotten better, essentially, right?
Yeah. So we want people to have hope in life.
Yeah.
Right. And when we look at people who are struggling with homelessness or addiction or a combination of homelessness, addiction, and sometimes a crime that goes with it, a lot of time, are these bad people? No, they're people who are trapped in addiction or trapped in poverty. And so their life, the situation leads them to be on the street or on a riverbank. And, I think we have this moral, social, human to human obligation to help one another and not just to kind of shuffle the person down the road to the next riverbank or the next bus shelter, but to truly help them. And so what I learned in Houston, and Houston is really setting the standard. They've got a lot of people that go down and look at their model from other cities, because every city, every major city in Canada, every major city in North America is facing this issue of rising numbers of homelessness. Houston has been able to house over 30,000 people in 11 years. The way they've done it, one plan. We have a lot of agencies doing good work. We've got levels government participating. We've got nonprofits. We've even got business helping out. But it's all, in many instances, not always, but it's too often disjointed. It's silos operating.
Yeah.
And so you've got overlap and gaps. In Houston, they said one plan. Everyone's coming together for one plan, and everybody knows their role in the plan. The illustration I've used over and over again is the difference between a bunch of kayaks in the river, everyone paddling along doing their thing in circles, or everybody in a dragon boat. And everybody knows we're in the dragon boat. We all hear the beat of the drum at the in front of the dragon boat. I've got my oar. This is the part I play. You've got your oar. You're here. And so together we're making progress in unison. So we need one coordinated plan to address homelessness in this community. Houston has that. They have one coordinated plan. Everybody knows their roles. They communicate well. The funding to organizations is tied to the degree to which they follow and agree to the one coordinated plan. That's what's really the key thing about Houston, and a housing first approach, which means that if I'm going to help someone come off the riverbank or get homelessness, the first thing we're going to do is get them stable housing. You can't treat someone's addiction effectively when they're on the riverbank.
Yeah.
You can't treat their mental health challenges if they're just living on, in a tent on the riverbank. You got to get them into housing with the wraparound supports.
Who would set that plan into motion here?
So it's going to be the province. So I've been working with the province of Manitoba on a regular basis. And the reason I say the province is because it's the provincial government that has the areas of jurisdiction that are most needed. Health, mental health, addiction services, detox, recovery. So those are some of the prime, and ultimately the responsibility for housing more than the city of Winnipeg does. So because the province has the levers and has the areas of responsibility in the departments that are most needed in this, they really have to lead. And I believe they are wanting to and moving towards that. Minister Bernadette Smith from the province of Manitoba, who's really she's the minister of housing, and homelessness, addiction, like that. Those are all her portfolios. She went to Houston, about 10 months after I did to check it out, and took a whole bunch of the key people with her. So I know that she is working, and we're trying to work to build that one plan.
So how long has it taken in Houston? Like, when did they start the plan?
And are there stats to show how effective it's been so far?
There are stats to show how effective it's been. Like I said, they have the stats to show they've housed over 30,000 people in 11 years. But there was a lead up beforehand. So it didn't just start 11 years ago. It probably started 14 years ago in Houston. It's about getting the right players who agree, the right agencies and entities and leadership within the community to agree to move to one plan. So what's really exciting right now is we're seeing the shift happen. There's business leaders, there's nonprofits, there are levels of government, both provincial government, Indigenous government, City of Winnipeg, that are all kind of starting to come together to say, let's move towards this, and let's coordinate an approach here.
Yeah, and I think one of the biggest challenges in Winnipeg is our weather, right? So we do have a homelessness problem in Winnipeg, but we also have the weather situation, right? So that makes it a lot more difficult just for anybody that is down on their luck to find places because of the amount of people that are looking nowadays, right?
It does, and you get, there's a couple things that happen at the same time. At the same time, we also have a shortage of housing in the city of Winnipeg. anyone listening, watching today that's renting and looking for somewhere else to rent, even at market, knows that the vacancy rate in Winnipeg for rental units is below 2%. There's just not a lot of housing available. So when you're trying to take someone out of a bus shelter off a riverbank and get them not into, a silo mission, which does great work, a temporary shelter, but get them into housing, there's not a lot of spaces available. And so building housing where people can live and get the support is critical work, and it's priority work that we're doing right now.
Have you looked into numbers of how much that kind of program would cost? Because it's like everything's a great idea, but it's a matter of getting money for it, right? Which is totally different.
Yeah, we have looked at, and the bottom line is there's a lot of money in the system right now, a lot of money. And I'm not convinced that we as governments are I don't think we have the coordinated plan. And if we had a coordinated plan and coordinated structure, I think that money could be better allocated.
Because
so I'd like to see us start.
Right now, like
So I'd like to see us start there.
Right.
Now, there's no doubt we need more housing, full stop. So city's working with the federal government right now on getting more housing built. And so, more to
and housing in Manitoba is expensive right now. Like the materials have gone up.
Everything's gone up.
The heat has gone up, and you have to also heat these houses in the winter.
But relative to what?
Relative to some other areas. So but
still,
it's not, the prices of everything are not going down. Let's put it that way.
Right.
It's increasing. Yeah.
So totally different topic.
Yeah.
I hear you talking. You sound like you're really good with people. Just as far as you dealing with other politicians, people, wherever. Do you consider yourself an extrovert?
Probably, but after like a couple of evenings out in a row, like a few long days and a couple of evenings out, I just need to sit on the couch with music or a Jets game on with my little dog beside me, and just like not talk to anybody. So I'm probably an extrovert, but I need to recover. Yeah. Some people to recover, they got to go out. Let's go out and go out tonight and meet some people. When I after you've kind of been extrovert for many, many hours in a row, days, you just need some downtime. I just need some downtime.
Yeah, after the show here, I'm sure he'll go watch the Jets game and in his lounge area
with the cigar.
With
his pipe. Yeah, sorry, totally different.
So, because you're such a social person and you're really great with people, who's the most important, famous, craziest person you've ever met in your life?
Oh, I don't know if the most famous and craziest person, but funny, slightly embarrassing story. Many, many years ago, before I ever got into politics, I was in Ottawa for a conference, and the hotel we were staying in, my wife and I were, on one of the upper floors, and the hotel we were staying in, the regular elevators weren't working. And so we had to take the service elevator. So we're in this back way taking the service elevator. We're waiting on the service elevator, and the door opens, and it was Geddy Lee.
Yeah?
And I was like, Geddy Lee! And it was involuntary. I just blurted it out. And I was so excited. It's like Geddy Lee from Rush. For those who don't know Geddy Lee, Rush, great band, so for the older viewers, you'll know who that is. So it was a funny
front
moment.
Row at the Jays games.
There we go.
Yeah.
Right? Tom Sawyer, one of her greatest songs ever. Anyways, so I get in the elevator and I'm just so excited that and I'm not usually an excitable guy, but I'm like, hey, this is Geddy Lee. I'm in an elevator with Geddy Lee, and it dawns on me as I'm standing there, he's got this big kind of medallion thing around his neck, and I realize he's getting the Governor General's Award. So he was coming down the elevator from his hotel room to the ballroom with his Governor General's Award on. And so I said to my wife, like, can you take a picture? So, can I take a picture? And he's like, okay. I could tell he wasn't overly impressed. So I pushed I kind of got in there and kind of pushed
your wife out of the way.
No, there was someone there and I pushed her out of the way a little, just kind of like, no.
Yeah.
And so my wife takes a picture, I look over, it's Geddy Lee's mother. I'd pushed out of the way. So I'll never forget. I felt so bad. I just like, and she's a short little woman, and I just out of the woman. I'm just like,
something
separate Geddy Lee and his mother.
About Scott Gillingham. That he pushes Geddy Lee's mother around.
Yeah, I'm just like, excuse me.
Fell down.
I didn't say.
We have video of it. No,
I didn't say hi to her. I didn't acknowledge her. It was awful in that moment. She was invisible because I was just so. It's Geddy Lee.
I've been in that situation when someone's you just lose your mind.
Sorry. if Geddy Lee's mother is a regular watcher of the podcast, my apologies to you. I should have apologized then. So
As far as we
I'm
know,
apologizing to
Geddy
you now.
Lee's mother and Geddy Lee neither are.
Well, if they are, don't forget to like, subscribe,
Subscribe,
share, and
share.
comment. But
So-
that's a cool story because like I know what you mean about like when you get starstruck or like
Yeah.
you see somebody. I've never yelled out their name before, but
And it was so involuntary. I was so embarrassed after.
Oh, my voice went up too loud.
but I've been in the same situation where like I've seen one time I saw Chris Bosch of the Miami Heat at that time, and we were having dinner in South Beach, Miami, me and my wife and two other people, and I see him and I'm like, I got to go get a picture with him. Like, that's the first thing I think in my head. And the other three people, including my wife, said, no, you don't. He's with his family having dinner. I'm like, one chance, right?
Yeah.
So I waited till he ordered. And then before he got his food, I went over and I said, hey, Mr. Bosch, can I get a picture with you? And he's like, once I'm done eating, I'll get a picture with you. And I'm like, okay. So I was at that restaurant for another 2 hours because I'm like, I can't leave until I get. But yeah, it's that once in a lifetime thing, right?
It
Where
is.
you want to meet
Yeah.
somebody that is, yeah, that's cool. Geddy Lee.
We saw Frankie Valli at the State Fair in Minnesota.
Okay.
And we were taking the shuttle back to our hotel, and the bus driver said, "You know, he's staying at our hotel." Sure enough, the next morning he was having
There he
breakfast. So I said, shook his hand and took a whole picture. So
There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's always cool to meet people that like are influential too, right? Is there any other influential people that have pushed you or kind of advised you other than Luke?
not
off
push
the-
like push like you pushed his
Push me.
mother.
like pushing a moose out of an airplane, not like that. But has there been any like other influential people in your life that are, former mayors, former premiers, or even just like leaders of any other kind of businesses?
Yeah, it's funny you should say that. A couple of people that I've always had I've always had mentors, people that I've looked up to, and so I'll call them. We'd have lunch together, just and they know this is a mentoring situation. So there's a couple of people. Actually, Luke, he should have almost brought him on camera here. Luke and I went for lunch once, just early on in the campaign with a man that I really, really respect. He's a retired Army general.
Okay.
And he was kind of way near the top of the Canadian Armed Forces back in the day. And he's he's a quiet man, but when he walks into the room, you just say, "Oh, there's the leader." And he doesn't say, "I'm the leader." He doesn't have to. He's just a skilled, wise leader. And so we've gone for lunch with him a couple of times. Just say, "What would you do in situation this, or situation that?" You just kind of tap into that wisdom and experience, right? Other mentors that I've had intentionally that influenced me. It's funny though, when I was a kid, I'll never forget this moment. We, again, grew up on the farm, but during the summer, my mom would take my brother and I at least once a year to Lower Fort Garry. We'd always go to Lower Fort Garry. We enjoyed going around and seeing all the people dressed in, their fur outfits, and the blacksmith doing their work as if it was, 150 to 200 years ago. One year when we went there was someone at the gate that was greeting us. It was the Governor General of Canada and his wife, Mr. Edward Schreier.
Oh,
and
wow.
I didn't know what a Governor General did. I didn't know but I thought, well, that's kind of cool. My mom explained what the Governor General does and who they are and their role. And I thought, that's really, really neat. That's cool. Years later, I went to visit my aunt at work. She and I were fairly close, and I went to visit her at work. She worked at the provincial legislative buildings. She worked in what's called Hansard. They, everything that's said in the provincial legislature is recorded for history, and it's called Hansard that you put in. And that's what she worked. She oversaw that. And she said to me one day, and I was just a teen, she goes, these are all elected people. You could do this one day.
Yeah.
And it's funny that those two experiences have always stayed with me. I didn't, growing up on the farm, didn't think one day I want to be the mayor of Winnipeg. Never thought that at all. But those two experiences, I've always thought about those brushes with politicians or a family member saying, you could do elected life one day. They've always stuck with me. And here we are.
So you said growing up on the farm, you're whatever years old you are, you're milking the cows. I don't know what you're doing on the farm. But what did you want to do when you grew up?
At first, I wanted to be a teacher. I thought that's what I would like to do. I think a lot of students grow up in elementary and high school thinking you'd like to be a teacher because you're influenced by teachers. So that was the initial thought.
And you're almost in the same kind of direction. You were a pastor for a little while, which you can say probably is like a teacher style role, and then a counselor, which, again, you're still leading and teaching as well. So you haven't come far from being a teacher.
Yeah, maybe not. Probably, yeah. The pastoral work is a little more probably akin to aligned with a teacher. This work of politics is different. It's very rewarding, very very challenging,
Yeah.
very challenging, but really rewarding. One of the really neat things that I get to experience just because of what I do is I get to be all over the city, and I get to meet great people all over Winnipeg who are doing their part to make the city better. And I tell people sometimes, I wish you could just follow me for 2 weeks or just be with me for 2 to 3 weeks. You would have a different view of Winnipeg.
Yeah.
Yes, we have challenges. Absolutely, we've got challenges. We've got some big, big issues that we have to tackle, and we're tackling them. But we have so many people, so many businesses, so many nonprofits, so many organizations in Winnipeg who are committed to our city, committed to making it better. It gives me great hope. Like, it really does. I don't want that to sound cliche. I'm so optimistic because of the people of this city.
If you could only get one thing accomplished and everything else fell by the wayside,
Boy,
and you could only get one thing done by the time you're done as mayor of Winnipeg, and like you said, people become mayors, they end their mayorship, it's over at some point. What would that one thing be?
the one thing would probably be a different funding model between the province of Manitoba and the city of Winnipeg and other municipalities. The way the city of Winnipeg funds itself through property taxes primarily, and the way it's structured right now, is just not sustainable in the long haul. And mayors prior to me, like for year after year, mayor after mayor, have asked the province for the same thing. It's got to change. If I could do my part to get that changed, it would set the city of Winnipeg up for future generations. It would fix a structural deficit, and just it would just align things that would be really beneficial to future generations.
No, nobody really understands how much work it is, and I bet you didn't even understand how much work it was before becoming a councillor and then becoming the mayor.
One of the things that you've got to get used to as the mayor is changing gears mentally real fast.
Yeah.
Because you come out of one meeting and bang right into the next meeting, and they're all different topics and different issues. And sometimes they're just a document you got to read and sign off on. It could be a legal document. You got to understand the legal implications of this. Should I sign it? Shouldn't I sign it? Usually by the time it gets to my desk, our legal team has done an excellent job, and our administration and my own staff has done an excellent job in really combing over it. But you sign that, and then you next moment you're welcoming children into the office, a school group that's come in, and then you deal with after that, right after that, the meeting about a department that needs more funding because they've gone over budget because of workers' compensation matters, and then into something that's about a planning document. My point is, you change gears as mayor so fast, so many times throughout the day, that you just have to really be
well, then you get
game.
you get my tweet about the park not being mowed, right?
Right, and there's
you get
that.
Tim's tweet about his shoveling not getting done.
I do my own shoveling.
You don't tweet anyway.
I don't tweet. I'm not even on.
You don't even know how to open your Twitter.
What is that on the TikTok?
That's right.
on the TikTok.
Does the mayor have a TikTok account?
On the Google. The mayor does not have a TikTok account.
No mayoral TikTok account.
No, apparently you can, especially for a younger generation. I know they're using it a lot, but I don't
Bob
have a...
Canoe's using it.
I know. I don't have a TikTok account. So, and to be honest, I do some of, but not much of my own social media. I'm not great at it, and we've got a couple of staff members, one particular who's really good at it, and does it. I don't use social media as much as other mayors have or do, but that's my own style to use it more.
The one thing that I was looking for in a new mayor from previous mayors is a mayor that isn't just there for the photo opportunities, right? So, like, I appreciate that you're not just posting on Instagram like, oh, I'm here today, photo op, right? Because we want to know that the mayor is getting things done and not just sitting his last, like, you just finished your first year, correct?
The first 2 years. So it's a 4-year term. I'm halfway through right now.
So as the mayor, you could essentially just sit back, and I'm not saying that it's going to be easy to just sit back, but you could just sit back and coast for the next 2 years, and then let somebody else take over if you really wanted to.
Yeah, I guess in theory, it's like any job. You can, anybody can put the level of effort into it that they choose to. There's just so much work to be done.
Yeah.
So much work to be done that you never have to wake up in the morning thinking, well, what am I going to do today?
Yeah.
It's more a matter, like so many of us in our lives, and so many of the viewers too, no matter what you're doing, you think, how am I going to get everything done today? I need to get done. It's not going to happen. But yeah. There's a lot of, I think, I owe it to the people of this city to give it all I got.
Yeah. So you'd go on to the fun stuff?
You want me to do the fun stuff?
Let's
Okay,
do the
I'm going to
fun
go
stuff.
grab the iPad.
So we're going to play a game again called This or That, and it's simply you pick one thing or the other. There's nothing embarrassing. You can choose to elaborate on something or just say what it is. You may not skip, even though we have names of your children there. We don't actually have. We don't even know what their names are. And what was the other rule? I always forget. Oh yeah, if you say one, the other one goes away forever and ever and ever. So if it's, I can't use an actual example, but if it was your one sister, your other sister, the other sister goes away forever.
And some people would want something like that.
Yeah,
but,
you may not like one of them. I don't know.
So the first This or That is Instagram or TikTok.
Instagram.
Folklorama or the Winnipeg Fringe Festival?
Oh, I'm going to go Folklorama.
Yeah.
That's hard. That's going to get me in trouble with the Fringe Festival, folks.
But
anyways, yeah.
you do love both.
I do.
But if you had to choose one,
I have to go Folklorama just because of all the different food.
yeah,
Hey, food's a big one.
the
Yep.
food and the entertainment is really good too.
Great
it's just
entertainment.
always different. Yeah. Pizza or pasta?
Pizza.
No bike lanes or no potholes?
Oh, no bike lanes or no pot. The potholes. We got to have no potholes.
That is correct.
All the bikers now are like,
Listen, so I cycle on a regular basis, especially in the summertime. I bike to work as often as I can. It takes me half an hour to get from my house in St. James to City Hall, and I bike as often as I can. Use as many bike lanes as I can. So I'm a user of the bike lanes. I think they're important.
You just go to them.
I honestly thought that when we asked for something you didn't know about you, I thought you were going to say that you're a cyclist because I was told that earlier today as well, and I was just waiting to see if you would pop that one in.
There we go. I'm a
There you go.
cyclist.
Family Guy or The Simpsons?
Simpsons.
Town hall meetings or neighborhood block parties?
Well, the block parties, because they're more fun. There's food, and you can get the same done. You can have the same conversations at a neighborhood block party you can have at a town hall, only you do it over food.
So you can get Scott Gillingham to your event. If you have food, we had none. Sorry, we apologize. Go ahead. Next one.
Or a block party. We'll have a block party.
Yeah.
Do you drink coffee?
I do.
Okay, so this one's coffee only. Tim's, Starbucks, or McDonald's?
Oh, tough one. I don't mind McDonald's coffee. The Tim's dark roast is good, and the Starbucks
Is dead last. You may say it.
is
That's fine.
good. No, it's good as well. But yeah,
McDonald's
the winter
would be the
blend.
choice.
I'll probably go to McDonald's. Yeah.
Okay.
Which is correct. Netflix or Disney Plus? You seem like a Disney Plus guy.
Depends what it's on. Probably more Netflix than Disney Plus.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mountain climber or laying on a beach?
Oh, laying on a beach thinking about mountain climbing.
You cycle every day half an hour one way and half an hour next, and you wouldn't climb a mountain. You'd rather sit at
There
a
we
beach?
go. Right. It's hard to beat a beach.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. Chocolate or chips?
Oh man, is that a choice?
Yes.
You have to pick
Yeah,
one
and the
or
other
the
goes
other.
away forever. It doesn't exist. Never
Chips.
happened.
Chips.
Chips. What flavor is your favorite?
Is there dip or no dip?
You can pick a dip with the
well,
chips.
No, let's say no, because then it's ruffled. So we want to get something a little bit more exotic. No dip.
No, then it's salt and vinegar.
Salt and vinegar.
Oh,
That is-
you have to go with Canadian ketchup.
My wife loves the.
I don't
people
mind
wanna
Canadian
get their
ketchup, but that's
hands
third.
on
Like it's if I had to rank them, salt and vinegar, sour cream and onion, ripple with the
yeah.
onion dip,
With
Yeah.
the dip, yeah.
then I go ketchup.
Interesting,
Yeah.
interesting. I'm trying to figure out where we are. Oh, watching sports or watching reality TV?
Oh, sports.
Okay.
I live reality. I don't understand the appeal of reality TV.
Agreed.
We
I'm
live
with you.
reality. The
I'm
last
with
thing I
you.
want to do to entertain myself
Preach.
is embrace someone else's problems. Like
Yes.
I got enough of my own problems.
Some people love
Give me
drama.
sports.
Some people love drama. They
Don't
love
we
it.
live enough drama all day?
I'm
Anyways,
with you.
yeah.
I do not
Anyways,
like
let me
reality
vent
TV.
here.
And this is a very important question. iPhone or Android?
iPhone.
Correct.
Correct. I didn't know there was right or wrong answers. here.
So a lot of these are me and Tim.
Okay.
So like I pick one and he
Okay.
picks one. So
Yeah.
a lot of them are correct or incorrect.
I see.
Canadian Museum for Human Rights or the Leaf?
Ooh, that's totally different.
I know.
Yeah.
But both iconic now, like the look and the structures.
And I'm not. This isn't political. I I really like both of them equally.
Mhm.
On one question, can I have a both? Okay, I'm taking it. I'm gonna have a both.
That was not part of the rules.
Okay.
We sent you the legal documentation.
I'm gonna
I guess
bring,
the
I'm gonna
others
bring
make their own
I'm gonna
rules.
bring in a bylaw for this game, right? The City of Winnipeg bylaw for the this or that
We're
game.
going to structure
shows
it.
up
Well,
as not a
okay,
bylaw.
wait.
That's right.
He's chosen his both. The last 1, 2, 3, 4. He cannot choose both.
I have my one both.
Okay. Let's see the next one. Ken.
Bombers, Jets, or Gold Eyes.
You're killing me. Depends on the season. Oh, okay, I'll do Bombers because we're having the Grey Cup here
That
in
is right.
2025.
We got our
Everybody,
tickets.
make sure you get your tickets. You've got your
We
tickets.
got our tickets.
Great. I've got to get mine. I'm a season ticket holder, so I got to get on the game here.
Yeah.
So get on the ball.
Do you
But yeah,
want to broadcast what section you're in, or would you like to keep that quiet?
I'm in the 200s. That's fine. I'm in the upper deck. Yeah.
We are as well.
Yeah. Very good.
So, does the east side suck or does the west side suck?
East side sucks.
What?
Yes.
Well, I guess
See,
it's-
this or that. East side, west side, west side.
this is why we've never seen him at the games. And the cool people all sit on the east side because that's where the sun is, and we
We get to
get
clip that out. The mayor says East Side sucks.
See, that should be your thing. East side or west side. Ripple chips or
Yeah.
salt and vinegar.
Yeah.
East side, west side. It's bullshit.
Oh, too funny. Next one.
Superhero ability, invisibility, or being able to fly.
Ooh, probably fly.
Everybody says that, and it's the opposite of what you say,
Yeah, I
which is
say
invisibility.
which means you can get into any sporting event, you can get into any concert, you can get into any movie.
So it's saving money.
Invisibility.
It's about saving
So-
money for Greg.
It's about saving money. We're cheating the system. I can't cheat
Yeah.
the system.
Cheating the
So
system if
You're
they can't
getting into
see
events
you.
for free. It's true. It's cheating the system.
So what would you do if you were flying?
I'd fly down to the gate, pay my ticket, and then fly up and.
Oh, okay.
You don't necessarily have to go to events. Anyway, Kildonan Park or St. Vital Park?
Oh, both good. Kildonan though.
Yeah. See,
Yeah.
I think so
That
too.
is right.
Most underrated
I-
park in the city.
Yeah.
Beautiful park. Both are, but beautiful park. Kildonan.
So traveling back in time 100 years or into the future 100 years?
Oh, back in time. Yeah.
What would you like to go back and see?
I'd like to go back. I don't want to sound weird, but so my family came from, dad's side came from England in 1907. Mother's side came from Scotland in 1907. I'd like to go back to the UK in 1907,
See what it was like.
1906, 1907. Just to, yeah.
Great
That'd be
answer.
cool.
Very cool. We did the bylaw game already.
So,
so now we're on to our last.
3 places that your preferred places for date nights with your wife. It can be a restaurant. It can be a place that you go to for fun, like the
Just
Leaf or
Favorite dates with your wife.
3 locations in Manitoba. Top 3. Go.
In Manitoba, I get to go Manitoba.
I think we should just do Winnipeg because he's the mayor of Winnipeg.
Okay, I'll do 3 Winnipeg and 1 in Manitoba.
Okay.
How's that sound? So the Manitoba one first. We used to always go to Clear Lake at least once a summer. So there's my Manitoba pick.
It's a very popular pick amongst people.
Yeah,
in
We were
the-
just there a month
Great.
ago.
That's
Yep.
great. And the cinnamon buns at White House. Have you had those?
Oh yes,
Right.
You got to get the ones with the cream cheese.
Yes.
They're
Well,
the
then
best.
the next morning you go and get the ones with the maple, and the next one you can.
I don't
so,
like the
yeah.
maple.
Okay. This or that. There's another this or that
There we
question
go.
for
Good.
for your next guest. Throw that at this or that.
Yep.
Maple, or
Cinnamon
or
bun or
cinnamon,
regular
or
cinnamon
regular
bun.
cinnamon bun. So let's see what they say.
Or neither. Too much
Uh,
sugar. Good.
But yeah. So in Winnipeg, we live not too far from Assiniboine Park. So we really like to go for a walk, pick up Sergeant Sunday ice cream, walk through the park, walk back. So that's just a great place, a great
Awesome,
date
yeah.
place.
Yeah.
We also enjoy. Oh boy, it's. We like going for coffee. We like going to different coffee shops. So I don't know if I can just pick one, but just the local independent, not the chain.
Yeah.
So if I can just say writ large, independent small coffee shops in
So
Winnipeg.
you don't have to
We-
say the best one.
But
just say
name,
your
like, 3.
favorite coffee shop that you like to go to.
We one of the ones like San Vito is local. I like going there, and then Le Croissant in Saint Boniface is
Okay.
phenomenal as well. So
I
yeah,
don't think
so
I've been
we
to
enjoy
either of
those.
those. Recently, I just discovered Sheepdog Coffee,
Very
which
good.
is in South Landing.
Yeah.
And Empty Cup,
Yes,
which is really good too. Their new nitro cold brew with vanilla oat latte
Okay.
It's in a can, and it's just like
A lot going on there.
deadly. Though.
Night brew, vanilla.
It's nitro,
oat latte.
vanilla,
Yeah.
oat latte.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's very, very good.
I
But
think I'm on 2, right? So we said the
Yep.
park and coffee shops in general. And then there's just so many good restaurants. The last one we went to on a date night a couple weeks ago was Pasero. It was so good. It was just delicious. Locally, we're right near Silver Heights Restaurant. That's a favorite of ours as well.
I've always wanted to go there. I just never have.
Oh, you got to go.
Okay.
It's been around
What's
for over
the-
65 years, and
what's the
it's
go-to
family
dish
owned.
at Silver Heights?
Well, if you're in the lounge, just anything with with their wings, but the go-to dish there, they're known for their ribs. Great ribs.
Gotta go. Yeah.
We should go.
Yeah.
I've heard that. I think we should. Yeah.
Tony Sawicki and is in the family. They do a great
We'll
job.
say the
They've
mayor's-
around for-
Yeah,
Sure.
We'll
Say the
we'll drop
mayor's
the
name.
mayor's
Said
name.
there was half
Sure.
price ribs.
Half price ribs. That's right.
One person, dead or alive.
No, I've changed this one.
You're cutting it out. Oh yes, person alive.
Yes, I'm
curious.
changing it up a little bit.
Okay, we've changed the question. He's changed it on me. Used to be dead or alive, but now we're saying person that is currently alive that you could have a 20-minute conversation with anybody.
Oh wow, a person alive I could have a 20-minute conversation with. Oh, this one is going to stump me. A person alive I could have a 20-minute conversation with.
You've
Oh,
changed
you
it.
guys.
That's why I changed.
Yeah,
it.
because it's harder. So, do you have commercials? Just go to a commercial. We'll be right back.
Oh, we're not really okay.
You guys spilling your coffee everywhere.
Coffee
So,
everywhere.
so yeah, but probably would be a political leader. I'd like to sit down with George W. Bush.
Really?
Yeah,
That'd be an interesting
because
conversation.
you know what? Because I'm thinking about 9/11 and all that the U.S. went through when really the world changed. I mean that. I think
Yeah.
that I've got pressures as mayor,
Yeah.
but some of the pressures that he and others had on a global scale
Yeah.
nowadays, that would be to me a fascinating 20-minute conversation. And he seems like he's a serious guy, but he's
Jovial,
really lighthearted as well. He
I've
laughs
heard
at
some
himself.
people that have
Yeah.
talked to him that say he's a great guy.
Yeah, he just seems like just a guy.
Loves
right?
baseball.
Yeah.
He's just a regular everyday guy that
Yeah.
became president. But
And at the time of one of those kind of historic moments in the world's history, for sure. I think that'd be fascinating.
okay,
Awesome.
this is the last question, and then you're off the hook.
Okay.
And we cut the commercial. Cut to commercial. I don't know how it works. One piece of advice for anybody that is looking to get into politics these days. What is one piece of advice that you would give them?
Be willing to risk, serve your community, and go for it. That's not one piece of advice, but you've got
But
to just
that's
measure. It's risk, but I don't want to look back on life and say, "Oh, I had the opportunity. I should have given it a try." Better to risk, and I think, and fail than to not risk at all. So that would be if you're looking to get in for the right reasons.
Yeah.
But if you're thinking of going for it, go for it.
That's great advice.
It's fantastic. Yeah. Well, we want to thank the mayor. Thank you so much
Thank
for
you so
joining
much. It
us.
was
This
awesome.
has been an amazing conversation. We appreciate it, taking your time out of the day to join us. And don't forget to like, subscribe, share, get everybody in Winnipeg to see this one, because I think that getting to know the mayor on a more personal level gets you to know the mayor on a business level as well,
Absolutely, yeah.
right? So thank you so much for joining us. Appreciate
Thanks,
it.
Greg and Tim. This has been a lot of fun. I really appreciate the opportunity to be with you today.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot.
Thanks for watching the Greg and Tim Show podcast. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share with all your friends. Sharing is caring.